want lower property taxes. If you do, then you're just like me. I don't like paying property taxes either. I think taxation is theft, and we ought to abolish the 16th Amendment and get rid of income taxes too, but let's focus ourselves on property taxes. If I want to pay lower property taxes on my primary residence, then the revenue has to come from somewhere. Or we can make cuts. And the cuts we have to make should be smart cuts. Let's get rid of the waste and the fraud, absolutely. But there are things that I want to keep in the place where I live. I want to make sure that we have good water and sewer infrastructure. I want to make sure that our roads are cared for and we don't have giant potholes and shoulders that fall off the side of the mountain. I want to make sure that we have good parks and rec and ball fields for the young people to go out and play t-ball this time of year. So when you start realizing what the services are in your county, and you know some money's going to have to be spent, but you want lower property taxes, there's your big question mark. Where's it going to come from? Well, if you're thinking about things in a balanced way, it comes from economic development. It comes from bringing in jobs to your area. Now, a good economic development staff doesn't say yes to everything, because some jobs probably aren't good for your area. Some things create problems, like a Venator Chemicals wanting to put a chemical waste site in Cabarrus County, North Carolina. We should say no to that, because that's economic development that looks like money on paper, but it's going to be detrimental to the good stuff in our county, as in water and sewer and way of life. So a good economic development crowd says, we feel you wanting to bring that here. Thank you so much for the consideration, but no, and not just no, but heck no. By the way, that permit is coming back up again, and so I'm really hopeful that you, the voters, are going to get back active with us, and I'll keep you posted. But that's what we say no to. Then we can say yes to other companies. I'll use, for example, Eli Lilly, who moved to Concord, North Carolina, and spent $1 billion with their manufacturing plant for some of the products they offer. Now, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole on what we think about their offerings, but Eli Lilly has a good financial balance sheet. They build a beautiful facility that does not impact the water, and they are great employers in this county. They provide so many jobs for people who don't want to drive all the way into Charlotte. They'd rather go 10 minutes away and work and then come home. And so when you start realizing that there are yeses and there are nos, then your area has to decide, how do you bring in enough jobs to offset so that you can lower your property tax base? We know that property taxes can be a drain on people. If you're on fixed income and you paid off your house, you might not be able to stomach higher taxes. And then you're not working at these new jobs either. So what do? Well, the job should help offset for that senior citizen, help offset for that disabled vet who's in their home and shouldn't have to pay property taxes anyway. So you start realizing that there's a lot of balancing going on. I mentioned this because in this county and in many other areas, our elected officials are really struggling, y'all. There's two camps, and the one camp says, oh, we should say yes to everything. Well, I don't agree with that camp. Not everything is good for a community. And then the other camp says, no to everything. No jobs, no tax credits, no development, no building, shut it down. I don't think those are good, healthy solutions for this county or anywhere. We've got to be the people who say, sometimes you say yes and sometimes you say no. And we've got to figure out where the balance lies so that homeowners aren't unnecessarily carrying a burden and that employers have a reason to want to come here. Because at the end of the day, I want to live somewhere where I, as a realtor, can excitedly tell people, you can live here and you can work here and you can play here and you will love it. And then I can tell them, your kids and grandkids, they can move here too. And they'll have jobs. And there's a future where they can afford this area. Because the downside of saying no all the time is that if you stop all of your development and you stop all your building, well, the jobs, they'll go elsewhere. Those companies will find somewhere that wants them, and that might be 2 counties away. So you could still go to work, but the dollars are in somebody else's area. So you're still carrying the burden. And then on the residential development side, if you don't have places for people to live, the jobs won't come in because employers need you to live here just like you want to have jobs. So we don't say yes to every housing development. I don't want to see of concrete. I like green space and farmland too. But when you think about the building side, if you continually say no to everything, you are restricting your supply, and that drives prices up. I want to live somewhere where my kids can one day afford to buy a house and live close to me because I'd love to have them close by. And that means we have to continually be making sure that there's housing stock in all price points so we can serve everybody in our county in the next generations too. It's complicated. I don't envy the people who have to make these decisions, but I can tell you this on behalf of the real estate community. We love seeing smart economic development. We love seeing smart decisions about businesses. I love having staff that can sit there and run the pros and cons and make the evaluations. And I love being able to tell people that I live in a great place. So if you want to live in Cabarrus County or work here or bring your company here, please talk to me. I will tell you all the reasons why you want to say yes to Cabarrus County. The flip side is I'm asking my elected officials, you've got to also say yes to Cabarrus County. You've got to say yes to where you're serving so that we can make sure that there is a future that's got space for all of us as we look down the road.